Hey, Nick LaRovere here with Oculus Films, and today I wanted to talk about director of photography prep. What do I do to prep for a short film or a project so I can make sure that I get the best result possible for the director? One of the last things I'm going to do when I'm going into a shoot is I like to create a shot list for myself as a reference when I'm on set. In this film that I'm prepping for right now, I sat down with the director. He had drawn some storyboards himself, and I basically talked through, looked at his storyboards with him, and then I began to translate that into a shot list that we could both reference while we're on set. Sometimes a director will do this. It really just depends. Everyone works a little differently, but I like to have that because I can have a list that I organize in order from the first thing we're gonna shoot for the day to the last thing we're gonna shoot for the day. We're gonna start with the wides first, and then the mediums and close-ups, inserts, whatever that order is that makes the most logical sense for efficiency for the day. That's what I'm gonna organize my shot list into. And then what I can do as the day goes on is just, okay, first order of business for today is the wide looking toward the front of the building. Okay, and Joe walks in the front door and everyone looks at him. So now I know this is what we need to set up for lighting, and I can get the crew working on that. And then we set up for the shot, and then we do the shot. We got it, and I can cross it off the list. And as we go along, it kind of helps with a feeling of accomplishment too, and not feeling like the day goes on forever, because I'm crossing those off, and slowly but surely we get down to one shot and then none, and we're done for the day. It also helps us stay on track for time. You know, hey, we still have half of our shots left, and this one's gonna take more prep time. On an indie or a low budget thing, you don't always have an AD or someone to help you stay on track. So I always do my best to make sure we stay on track and not use more time than is necessary for each setup. It helps us stay on track for time. It also makes sure that we don't miss any important critical shots. And one of the other things I'll do on my shot list is I'll indicate, is this a shot that's gonna go through the entire scene from front to back of the scene, all the dialogue? And B, is this just a shot for a moment? So it may not need to go through the whole thing, so we can save time. Generally, there are shots that are important to hold through the whole scene for cutting purposes, so you have something else to cut to. But for example, if an insert is picking something up off the floor, you don't need to, that's all you need is that one little moment. Or someone's reaction, like Joe enters the building and so-and-so looks in his direction and just stares at him through the whole time he goes to sit down. But no one else does that, it's just this one guy. Well, we don't need to show this guy reacting and just sitting there through the whole scene. We just need that moment as he watches Joe sit down. So those are some examples. So I'll mark goes through the whole scene or doesn't go through the whole scene, just a moment. And I almost forgot this, but I think it's really important, is the other thing I mark on my shot list is shot that we really need. This is critical to the shoot. If we don't get the shot, then editing is gonna be a problem. And therefore having a scene that is cohesive is gonna be a problem. I don't really mark those. If they're important, I just leave them as is. But the ones that the director would really like to have, or I think would be really nice to have, I'll mark those as nice to have. Because at the end of the day, if we're running out of time and we need to cut something that to save time and move on to what's important, then we don't have to think about it. We've already put the thought into what can be cut from that day, and we just cross that off the list. So it's always sad when you have to do that, but it happens. But you gotta get the scene. That's what's most important.